Recently, my wife and I had the opportunity to enjoy an older movie. It was filmed in black and white and featured on a classic movie channel. The plot basically centered on the life and times of a gangster character from the 1940s era. And in the last scene of that movie, the bad guy received his just reward. It was an awkward demise. In comments that were made about this feature presentation, the host of the movie channel took a few minutes to discuss the stars and the making of the film. One thing that he said really caught my attention. In compliance with the movie standards of the day, the good guys had to win and the bad guys had to lose. A nice and comforting thought, but is it really true? Do good guys always win in this life? And do bad guys always lose? The Apostle Paul would be considered a good guy, but he certainly didn't always win. In 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 23 through 27, Paul describes some of his encounters. He says he was beaten countless times, often in danger of death. 5 times he received 39 lashes. 3 times he was beaten with rods. Once he was stoned. 3 times shipwrecked. He spent a night and a day in the deep. He was in danger from rivers, robbers, countrymen, Gentiles, and he encountered many hardships with many sleepless nights, in hunger and thirst, often without food, in cold and exposure. Paul's good works brought him adversity and trouble. Consider John the Baptist. He was a humble servant of God, adorned with a garment of camel's hair, feeding on locusts and honey. A man who answered God's calling to go forth and prepare the way for the Messiah, saying, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." Matthew chapter 3, verses 1 through 4. John was God's messenger and prophet. He spoke the truth, even though it landed him in prison and ultimately cost him his life. When Herod received word from John that it was unlawful for Herod to have taken and married his brother's wife, Herodias, Herod had John arrested and bound in prison. Herodias detested John and wanted him put to death. But Herod feared John as a righteous and holy man and kept him safe in prison, safe at least until the fateful night of Herod's birthday banquet. As the daughter of Herodias danced before Herod and his guests, Herod became so excited that he foolishly offered her whatever she wanted, up to half his kingdom. Then came the shocking request. After consulting with her mother, she asked for the head of John the Baptist on a platter. Immediately the executioner was sent, and we know the rest. The executioner delivered the head to the girl, and she gave it to Herodias, her mother. Needless to say, things did not go well for John. Did the good guy win in this case? Well, I think the obvious reaction would be to say, no. No, life did not end well for John. He was imprisoned for telling the truth and killed in a gruesome act of savagery. Life is not always fair. In the day-to-day struggles, good guys do not always win. But did John actually lose? Jesus said of John, "Truly I say to you, among those born of women, there has not arisen anyone greater than John the Baptist." Matthew chapter 11 and verse 11. By itself, John's demise does not tell the whole story. Winners and losers aren't identified until the race is over. There is more at stake than our earthly existence. In Mark chapter 8, verses 34 and 35, Jesus said this, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospel's will save it." In verses 36 and 37 of that same context, Jesus really nailed it for us. He closed by saying, "For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? For what will a man give in exchange for his soul?" So, who is the real winner and loser? What's the right perspective? Win on earth, lose out on heaven? Or lose on earth, win in heaven? Blessed is a man who perseveres under trial, for once he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life which the Lord has promised to those who love him. James chapter 1 and verse 12. Paul said, "We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not despairing, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying about in the body the dying of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our body. For we who live are constantly being delivered over to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our mortal flesh." 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 through 11. Our quest is to be a winner in God's book of life, and that victory is the only one that matters. If you would like more information, or if you'd like to participate in our Bible studies and worship services, we would love to have you come join us at the Northeast Church of Christ in Albuquerque, New Mexico.